Peggy McCleskey is going to come and speak to us. She's a good speaker, but she's a tremendous Bible scholar. She loves the Lord and she loves the Lord's Word. And she's a good teacher of God's Word. Peggy, you come and share with us. Good to have you.
Growing up, my father owned his own business. And those of you like Susan who've owned your own business, you know it's a 24/7 proposition. It's something that you're committed to and you just can't take time off. And if you do, you just are constantly worried about what's going on while I'm away. Well, there were some summers that my father was not able to take a complete week off to take us on a vacation. So it was those summers that he took us on what we fondly refer to as daycations. Oh look, here's our guide Nate right now. Hold on. On behalf of NOE, that's Navajo Outdoor Excursions, I want to welcome you this morning. Now I'm Nate and I'm going to be your guide along this journey. Now first of all, there are a few important guidelines that we've got to get over and cover this morning. First, you want to make sure that you have your life vest on at all times. Now this morning, if you just reach up under your seats and pull your life vest out, put those life vests on, and I want you to make sure that you pull those straps tight. I mean, this life vest needs to fit like a pair of Spanx on your upper body. Now, ladies, go ahead and pull tight. You need to pull a little tighter. Okay, a little tighter. Okay, not that tight. Any questions? All right, get them up. Let's go. Now, already, before we even hit the river, we learned two valuable life lessons from this excursion. First of all, we need to make sure that we trust the guide who knows the river. Now, not just any guide is going to do it. It's got to be a guide who knows the river, familiar with the river, who knows what to do, who knows the paths down those rapids. And there's a parallel here with our life, that the God who knows the river of life is the Holy Spirit. And that Holy Spirit knows it so well, actually, he's part of the Trinity. And he was there in Genesis 1 when God created the heavens and the earth and the rivers and people and everything. So we need to make sure that we follow that God. Now, there are times that we can become so distracted with life and its problems and rapids or whatever that we just don't hear or pay heed to the Holy Spirit. But it is crucial that we do that, especially if we want to maneuver the river of life safely. Now, lesson number 2 also comes at this point in our journey. And lesson number 2 is that there are rules of the river, guidelines of the river, just like there are rules of life and guidelines of life. And so where do we find these? Of course, we find these in God's Word. It is so important for us to be familiar, to know those, because those are the rules and the guidelines and the laws that are going to get us safely to our destination, our final destination. Now let me ask you this, who is in your raft? How well do you know those people? And how well do they know you? Well, right after our raft was shimmied into the river, I noticed that neither Becca nor David had followed Nate's guidelines. They did not have their feet under the sides of the raft. And so I made a comment. I said, now Becca, you know, Nate said you got to put your feet up. She rolled her eyes like those teenagers did and shook her head like, oh, really? And that leads us to our third lesson. And our third lesson is this. The safety of our journey, in part, depends on our crew. Now, that's a little scary sometimes, isn't it? It was very frightening for me back then. Well, Well, we began our excursion as awkwardly as a 15-year-old boy on a first date. The learning curve with strangers is always difficult. And here we were, struggling not only against the river, we were struggling against each other. And I took a deep breath, and I thought, okay, we're going to try. We're going in. So I took a little easy left, a sharp right, and down through the V formation. And I thought, we made it. I was just about to sigh relief when all of a sudden our raft took a heave up over a hidden rock beneath the water. And I was sitting in the back, I happened to notice this look of sheer terror on my daughter's face because she was starting to go back and was going to fall into the river. Fortunately, my husband saw it, grabbed her, pulled her in. But when he pulled her in, he fell out. So here he's victim of the river, the frigid, cold river. Now, fortunately, by this time, it didn't take much for him to realize maybe Nate's had some points there that we need. So I noticed his feet did go up, and he's bobbing down the river like a little rubber duck, very much a 3-year-old's bathtub. We come to the third rapid, and this rapid, I felt like we're ready. We're ready. We're rested up now. And as we went down that rapid, it just made all the difference in the world. Instead of being frazzled and terrified, we just thought, we can do this. And it was a little bit exciting at this point. And we made it through. And going through a crisis is both a danger, but it's also an opportunity. And we had certainly had an opportunity to get to know each other, to be thrown together, and to learn how to work together as a little unit. Now here's an important lesson number 6. If we take time to rest during the calm times in our life, the turbulent times just don't seem quite as distressing. Instead of being terrifying and exhausting, now this treacherous rapid had become challenging and exciting. And several things had happened along this journey. My crew now obeyed the laws of the river and of rafting. My crew now shared my commitment because they had found out if we want to make it through this journey, we're not alive. We're going to have to work together, like it or not. And we had learned that. We followed the guide who knew the river, who knew those rapids and the exact approach to those rapids. We had discovered the importance of rest, and we had shared difficulties, struggles, and dangers that had bonded us now to each other. And so now we're raft. It is dangerous to be in this river of life all alone. Extremely dangerous. We need community. We need a community of family or church or friends to help us grow, to help us work together, and to even help us rescue each other as we go through those rapids. We need people who can help pluck us out of the river when we fall overboard, or who can help us to navigate those dangerous, treacherous rapids. And KidStuff is just like a large raft of people. And we've been asked to get in this raft and to travel down this particular stretch of the river. And so that leads us to lesson number 7, our final lesson. And that is, it is dangerous to travel this river alone. Well, ladies, we want to thank you for choosing the Nantahala Outdoor Excursion for your adventure today. And we hope that you've had a pleasurable experience as you've discovered that while it isn't impossible to conquer this river and tame the Nantahala, that we can learn how to enjoy the ride if we heed the many lessons that are learned there. Now, be sure to gather up your belongings as you exit the raft and have a safe trip home.